What's cracking, everybody? Benji Bruce here with Speaking Lifestyle. Today we're going to talk about something really simple. This is something that I get quite a bit, where people say like, hey, I'm cold emailing, but nobody's responded. And this is something where I actually had a conversation with a Speak Pro Academy member. So I'm going to show you a video real quick with the whole conversation. Well, not the whole conversation, but I'm going to show you a video with most of the conversation, or some, I don't know how long the conversation is. I'm going to show you a video with me and a Speak Pro Academy member where I'm talking with her, because one of her things is she was saying like, hey, I'm cold emailing, but I'm not really getting I'm not getting any responses. And so you're going to see a very, very interesting conversation between me and her. So let's kind of wait a few seconds for people to hop on. All right. I think we got 20 billion people who just hopped on. See, I can only see a couple of people. What's up, Kareem? Like I said, this is going to be just a conversation. I'm going to show you a video of a conversation between me and another Speak Pro Academy member where, first thing she says, she's like, she was like, yes, I'm cold email, but I'm getting zero responses. Like, what am I doing wrong here? And I want you to pay attention to, how I, just watch the damn video. All right. Let's get to it. So what do you need help with?
So I think I've said this before, and I just need you to say it one more time to me, but I'm starting it all this. So I've been facilitating workshops for the last 7 years all throughout the world. So I have a lot of ease when it comes to, sitting down and Q&As and all of that. But the keynote, just doing a keynote and being on stage like this, I've had some experience, and I got my first paid gig in February, but I'm still new at this. So my videos are not in front of a lot of people. And I'm worried because I come from the spiritual industry, but I want to work in corporate. So I want to adapt this. I don't want to do spiritual talk for corporations, don't worry. But I definitely want to adapt that and be a motivational speaker for corporate. I'm just struggling a little bit. I can get my message down, but not having enough experience. So sometimes I feel like I'm listening to what you're saying, and I don't know if the events that I'm targeting are appropriate because I'm just starting. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, you're thinking too much. So
you said that before.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, because all you have to do is you literally just you reverse engineer everything. So. Yeah, so it's like right now you don't really know what industry or anything that you're going to be in. So what you're doing is you're going to start contacting people, just kind of using the whole system, the whole event finder system, just contact people that way. And you're going to change what you say as you contact them. So you have to be like a chameleon. Like as you're emailing them, you don't want to go into it saying, here's everything I speak about and all that sort of stuff. You build up the list, and then you look at the event, and then you kind of think, well, what exactly are they looking for in a speaker? And then you kind of just say that's kind of what you speak about. And it's more for practice in terms of what it is you're doing, because it's like you're practicing the whole event finder, the prospecting system, and you do that before you start building out your keynote and everything. So once you get hired, you can build out the keynote.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't worry about the keynote, because otherwise you're going to be thinking too much and you won't build anything. Yesterday I was like, I can easily tell when people are doing the work and not based on the questions they ask. And it's more like, it's kind of like one of those things where when you do the work, the questions that are popping up inside of your brain, they no longer become questions anymore because they're answered by doing the work. So no amount of sitting down and thinking about it is going to answer the questions that you have. You have to actually do the work, and you have to actually contact them.
Right. So I started. I did some, nobody has responded to my emails yet. I haven't sent many. I think I sent a total of 40 or 50 so far. But nobody has responded except for the forms, right? So you fill out this form. Otherwise, nobody has really responded to it. And I'm just, so the other thing was the pitch.
Okay, so real quick before we go on there, so you got to change the way you think of that. So yes, people did respond. They just didn't respond the way you thought they would. So you got to understand that nobody's ever going to respond by saying, yes, what do you charge? Let's bring you in. 99% of the people who respond, they're going to say things that you don't want to hear. And so you have to learn to push through it. And so it's one of the things where you have to shift your focus. It's like the whole positive, negative thinking type thing. You got to shift your focus. Like people did respond. They just didn't respond by saying, yes, let's bring you in. Like that literally almost never happens. No matter what level you're at, it will never happen where you contact them at the right moment in time. Like it damn near never happens. So it's like you send out the email number one, and if they tell you to fill out the form, like right now, you have to fill out the form. You can't not fill out the form.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So like when I say to speakers to not fill out the form, I'm talking about the speakers who have all the video footage and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas you have to not only do that, you have to even pay to be on a stage if that's required. So so like just think in terms of people are responding. They're just not responding the way you think. And so the reason that's so important is because if you don't switch the way you're thinking about that, you'll end up giving up, because I see it all the time where speakers are like, oh, they're not responding. And I say, well, they're just not responding the way you thought they would. And what happens is they always give up. Like every single time they give up. Whereas, I don't know if you remember the video I made where I talked about the Monsters Inc. Movie with, with that Sully guy, or not Sully, the short one where the logo like popped up in front of his face, like he was in the commercial for a second. Yeah, and like everyone looked at him like, oh, like even I was like, oh dang, he's probably pissed, but he was all happy. He's like, I was in a commercial, and so and like you have to think like that, to where it's more like you sent out the emails and they responded. Even if they say no, you're like, I got a response, and so it's like that's how you have to think, because otherwise, if you don't, you're going to end up giving up because your focus is all wrong. And so, so right now you're in the practice stages. Like you're thinking that you got to be Michael Jordan instantly, whereas I'm saying like right now you're at the very beginning. Like no one ever does anything right in the beginning of anything. So you just got to take the small wins. Like, oh, someone responded, great.
I like the Frank Sinatra sentence, all of that. I'm like, I don't really know. The one thing my friend told me is I was an actor and a stand-up comedian for a while. So he said, you can say with Sophie, nobody will be bored, because that's her background. I mean, my background is entertainment, so I know how to entertain. Mm-hmm. But I'm just wondering.
So like once again, don't overthink that. Once again, you're overthinking everything. So all you do, you send them an email and you just say like, hey, I've got a perfect speaker for you. Or this is if a VA's talking. If you're talking about yourself, you say like, hey, I'd love to come speak at your event. My background is comedy, so nobody's going to be bored. You can see the videos here on the website. Bam, that's it. Once again, you're overthinking everything. So think in terms of having a conversation rather than pitching. Anyone who pitches, they create 2-3 paragraphs and nobody reads. They're talking at the person. No one cares. They don't get hired. Whereas, like even lately, what I notice is that all the emails that I send out that are getting responses, they're really short. I mean, literally as short as I just said, to where it's like, hey, I've got a perfect speaker for you guys. His name's Benji Bruce. I mean, it's a really interactive presentation. You can see the videos here. It's like insanely simple. And so remember, you gotta, the purpose of your email isn't to persuade them in the email to hire you. The purpose of the email is to get them to go to your website. Your website's purpose is to persuade them to hire you. So, that's what you have to remember. Everything you say in the email is more about getting them to click on a link to your website. So that's the pitch. And so like once again, the way you're going to get your email pitch right is by you sending out emails. Like you're not going to be able to sit down, create a perfect pitch, because no matter what you sit down and create, it's always going to be wrong. 100% wrong every single time. You might as well just sit down for 5 minutes, write something, instead of spend 3 weeks trying to figure it out. Sit down for 5 minutes, write something, send it out, and then adjust from there based on what they say. Yeah, your thing is the biggest thing that I see is, I mean, it's what everyone does. You're thinking too much. It's like you're making it more difficult than what it is, and that's why you haven't started doing as much as you should be doing. And so it's like, and the reason why I tell everyone to use like Yesware, Mailshake, that sort of stuff is because the purpose of those things is to tell you what to improve. So when you use something like Mailshake or Yesware and you're split testing, so you create two different emails. You say, okay, email number 1, the subject line is going to say motivational speaker. Email number 2, the subject line is going to say the name of their company. And then email number 1, the pitch is going to be really simple, like what I said in terms of, hi, I'm Sophie, I'm a motivational speaker, and my background is I'm a comedian. You can see the videos here. I'd love to come speak at your event. And then another email number 2 that you test, maybe that one's like a 3-paragraph email that you write down. You test that and you see which one does better. And then whichever one does better, you use that, and then you test again with another one, and you keep improving like that. That's how you're going to get hired, which is why I keep telling people you have to do it, because if you're sitting down thinking, then you're not going to be able to figure out which email pitch is better and all that. Like, you won't be able to figure it out sitting down. And then once again, remember, just because they don't respond the way you think they should, that doesn't mean anything. They did respond, they just didn't respond the way you thought. And now it's just a matter of how you go around it. That's kind of what it is.
Okay. All right. Wow, that sounds okay. I got my work cut out for me.
All right, cool. And another thing that you can do, I don't know, like if you have a friend, you can tell a friend, hey, I'm going to give you $100, and if I don't contact 200 events every week, then you get to keep $100. And so you could do that to force yourself to actually do the work. And then your friend, like, make it a friend who actually will take your money. Like, I know my friends told me that. I'd be like, nah, you ain't getting your money back. You didn't do the work, man. I'm keeping your money. So make sure it's a friend that actually will keep your money, for one, and a friend that, like you actually have to provide the proof to your friend as well. Like, you got to say, like, look, so here's the Yesware thing. See, it says I contacted 200 this week or 100 or whatever amount you want. All right, so there's a couple things I want to go over with that whole thing. Man, it's really blue. Why is it so blue up in here? All right, I'll worry about that another time. So notice the very first thing that I told her was she was thinking way too much. This is something that I see with a lot of people. They're sitting there, they want to do their marketing. I mean, damn near everyone does this. They want to do marketing in anything, whether it's inbound marketing, outreach, whatever it is, and they think too much, so they get nothing done. And so what I tell people to do is you start with the end in mind. You reverse engineer, obviously. You say, here's the end goal, but you focus on the first step. And you don't think about anything else other than that first step. Because when you keep thinking, you're overthinking, you're thinking first step, second step, third step, fourth step, fifth step. And before you know, you're sitting down thinking all this time and you've got nothing done. So I just had a conversation with another Speak Pro Academy member yesterday. I told her the same thing. She was asking me questions. I said, look, your number one thing is a website. Nothing else matters. Literally, at this point, nothing else matters. You do the website, then after the website, you get your CRM set up. After the CRM, you start sending out the emails, and that's it. You don't think about anything else. You don't say, well, what if I say this and then they respond by saying, we're not interested? You don't think about that. You're not there yet. And so what happens with a lot of people is they just keep overthinking, which is why they get absolutely nothing done. So you have to truly, truly stop overthinking. It's like a master, they can see several moves ahead. A chess grandmaster, he can see several moves ahead because he's done it a million times. He sees the whole board. He sees every move that you're going to make, every move he's going to make, every move your mama's going to make. He sees it all. Whereas if you're starting out, you can't see that many moves ahead. You only see one or two moves ahead. And the same goes with you building your business. If you are doing outreach, you're trying to get on more stages, you can only see one or two moves ahead. So you do those one or two things. The only people who can see several moves ahead are people who have done it a million times, and they can see, okay, I know this person has to do this first, and they got to do this and that and that and that. That's why I tell everyone join the Speak Pro Academy, because I'm the one who sees several moves ahead because I've done it for so long. And so you just have to remember that if you keep overthinking, that is why you are procrastinating, because you're thinking too many moves ahead. You can't see it, and you haven't done the very first step. So it's really, really important that you operate with that level, like that mode of thinking. And notice what the conversation where she talked about, like, oh yeah, but with the pitch, I mean, like, what else is there? I say, like, oh, it's my background is comedy and it's funny, but I mean, like, what else? And I told her, like, no, there is no what else. Stop there. Like, you once again overthinking. You tell them it's going to be a funny speech. Bam, that's it. You don't need a what else. People keep overthinking. That is why they do not do anything. So stop overthinking. Just literally, I'm pretty sure this is why there are so many dumb millionaires, because I'm telling you, for the longest time, I used to wonder, like, man, I would talk with a millionaire. I'd be like, this guy's dumb. Like, I'm telling you, that's what would go through my head with almost every conversation I had with a millionaire. I thought to myself, this person is dumb. And I'm like, how does he make so much money? And then I realized the reason he makes so much money is because he doesn't overthink. He simply says, okay, all I gotta do is the website. Let me do that. He doesn't say, well, I mean, what's this? He doesn't do that. He just says, well, all I gotta do is this. That's all they do. And that's why I realized, like, oh, there's so many now. I mean, millionaires, not dumb, but still, you kind of get it. And so, and then the other thing I want to mention is also, like, you gotta be a chameleon to practice the process. And this is why I tell everyone in the beginning, because a lot of people, they're overthinking. They're saying, like, oh, my topic is this and who hires for this and all that. And I say, look, man, all you do is you sit down and you say, I'm a motivational speaker. You know what? I'm just going to say I'm a motivational speaker. You start with the first thing that pops in your head. I'm a motivational speaker. And then you just start contacting events. There is no rhyme or reason to what you're doing in the beginning, because you're trying to figure it all out. That's the whole thing. You're just figuring it all out. You say, I'm a motivational speaker. You look at the event. You research the event. Okay, cool. I see that they're a sales event. All right, so let me figure out how I can insert myself as a sales speaker. And then you look at another event. You see, oh, it's a leadership event. Oh, let me figure out how I can insert myself as a leadership speaker. That's what you're really doing the entire time. And so, or in the beginning, that's what you're doing to kind of figure out what your thing is. Now, if you know from the very get-go, let's say you know you're just a sales speaker, then you start there. But a lot of people, they don't really know. They're kind of figuring it out. So it really depends on where you're personally at. And then also remember, notice what I said. I said, you can't sit down and immediately know the end goal. You have to do the work. And when you do the work, everything is revealed to you as you do the work. And I can easily see when people aren't doing the work because of the questions they ask. The questions don't make sense. It's very similar to if someone were to go on, not go on Instagram. If someone were to say to me, Benji, how do I post a picture on Instagram? I'd be like, dude, bring your face here. Bring your face here. Give me my baby powder, man. That question in and of itself tells me that you did not even try. It literally says you did not even open up the Instagram app on your phone, and you didn't even look around anywhere and click on anything on Instagram to see how to post a picture. It is such a dumb question that it's one of the questions where it's like, I know you did not even open up Instagram and try anything. And so what you have to do is you have to ask questions based on the work you're doing, not the work you think you're going to do. If you keep thinking about the things that you're going to do and how people are going to respond, then you're going to sit there and overthink everything and you will do nothing. So you have to make sure that you are truly asking questions about what you're doing and you're thinking about what you're doing, not what if questions or not what if this thing happens and all that. No, it's just, okay, you know what? I posted on Instagram and for some reason I only got a few likes. How do I get more likes? That's a better question than saying, how do I post a picture on Instagram? There's a huge difference. And so I can always tell when speakers are doing the work and when they're just thinking about the work. Huge difference between the two. And also, I want to mention, like, also notice how she said she sent 40 emails, 40, 50 emails. That's not nearly enough, by the way. That's like, it's not even close to being enough. So you got to make sure that you're putting in the right numbers. But also notice how when she said, this is exactly what she said. She was like, yeah, nobody's responding to my emails. They're saying like, they're saying fill out the form or this, but nobody's responding. Notice I paused. I said, no, hold on. People are responding to your emails. They're just not saying what you wanted them to say. And that's why I keep telling people you got to shift what's going on inside of your brain. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to give up. And you have to understand that your frustration comes from the fact that you are expecting people to do things that you want them to do instead of accepting what they're actually doing and taking it from there. This is the root of all your frustrations. When you call someone and they don't answer, you're like, damn it, they should have answered. When you text someone and they ignore you, you're like, damn it, this mofo didn't text back. Is he ignoring me? You are getting pissed because you want the other person to respond in a way that you want them to respond. If, on the other hand, if you just accept the fact that what just happened and you go from there, you won't get frustrated anymore. I mean, you just say, okay, I texted this person, they didn't respond. All right, well, I'll follow up in a couple days. That's how you get over the frustration. It's how you get over the demotivation. It's how you actually keep doing and keep moving, keep persisting. It's how you keep going with everything. And so you have to stop trying to force people to respond in a way you want them to respond. And so this is the biggest thing that I see with a lot of speakers when they keep saying, I'm cold emailing and I'm not getting responses. The reality is you are getting responses. They're not just saying yes immediately. And there's several reasons for it. Like one, bad website. One, you didn't say the right thing in the email. There could be a few reasons for it, but it's really just because you're getting the response, but you're focusing on something else. And so that's the big difference. That's why I keep mentioning that Monsters, Inc. movie, because it was hands down, it's a perfect example of how you should be when you are doing any type of sales. In the Monsters, Inc., where the guy Mike, where it's like he was in the commercial for like half a second, not even like a second, half a second, but he was all excited. He's like, yeah. And the same goes with when you're cold emailing, when you're doing anything in business. When you get any type of reaction in any way, you're like, yeah. Like even if they're like, no, get out my face, you're like, yeah, it worked. They responded. Sure, they didn't say what I wanted, but they responded. It works. So that means if I send enough emails, somebody's got to say yes. And that's the mindset that you have in order to keep you going. You have to remember, like from a scientific standpoint, from a physics standpoint, everything we know in the universe adds up to 4%. Everything we know about black holes, everything we know about math, everything Einstein knew, everything that we know adds up to 4%. Think about how dumb we must be. Like that's like beyond dumb. I mean, we only know 4% of the universe, which means that nothing that you believe to be true is true. There's no possible way that you can believe something is true because we only know 4% of the universe, which means that you don't think in terms of true or false. You simply think in terms of what's useful. And this is why you say when you get a response that you didn't expect, they say, no, we don't hire speakers. No, we're not interested. Fill out this form. Whatever the response is, you simply delude yourself into the state of mind that caused you to operate in a certain way. That's how you need to use your thoughts. You make your thoughts you finish the rest of that sentence. And then also understand that building a business and running a business are two different things in the beginning. So like notice how a lot of speakers in the Speak Pro Academy, I tell them, hey, don't fill out the forms. Filling out the forms and all that, it's useless. When people say fill out this form with RFP, there's actually a response, a template response in the Speak Pro Academy about how to go around it. But when you're building your business, you have to do things that are very different than when you are already there and you're running the business. When you're building the business, you do damn near everything they tell you. They say, fill out this form, do 20 jumping jacks. You do it. You fill out the form, you do 21 jumping jacks if you have to. You do whatever they tell you to do. Eventually you get to a point where you just don't need to. And so that's how you really have to operate. And then also notice the very final thing that I told her was, give a friend $100. And then if you don't, you tell the friend, hey, I'm going to contact 200 events every single week. If I contact 199 and it's not 200, then you get to keep the $100. This is going to force you to do the work. It's just force you to do the work. And once again, make sure you choose a friend who will take your money, like a friend who won't feel sorry for you, a friend who won't like say things like accept your excuses to where you're like, yeah, but I mean, I was in the hospital. I mean, I broke my arm. I broke my leg. I was in the hospital. And like, as a friend, they'd be like, well, you had bed rest the entire time. You could have been typing with one hand. I mean, shoot, what else were you doing in the hospital? So you need to get a friend like that who will take your money and won't accept your excuses, because that's how you actually step it up a notch. So let's see if there were any questions. If there were any questions, I'll answer them. If not, then we are good to go for today. Let's see to do. So you said, sometimes you have to separate yourself from the outcome the minute you change your focus and tell yourself, hey, keep doing what's necessary. Yep, exactly. Yep. So Drew, you said, I can relate to the getting ignored thing. Also, it's true that one sentence emails get the most response. Yeah. The reason why, so notice what I mentioned there as well. I said the responses nowadays are usually like 1-2 sentences. It's insanely short, insanely simple. And the reason those get better responses is because you come across as a real person at that point. I mean, when people are reading it, they read it really quick. So it's kind of like, how could they not read it? It's just one sentence. How could they not read the thing? So they read it and they know you're a real human being because it doesn't sound like a template anymore. When you have this long thing, it always sounds like a template. Even if it wasn't a template, it usually sounds like a template anyways. And so when you make it short, it doesn't sound like a template anymore. And that's why people tend to respond to those more often nowadays. So let's see. You said, this is exactly what I used to do when I dated online. My response rates were high, and my best messages 1 to 2 lines. I detached myself from the outcome, just had one goal, get a response, then deal with the next step. Same method here. It just occurred to me. Yeah, I mean, it's actually one of the reasons why I keep using the dating analogy with everything, because dating and marketing, dating and sales, it's damn near identical in terms of everything that you do in order to be successful at each one. So let's see, the art of knowing what to overlook. Yep. Replaying these calls are very helpful. Cool. Perfect. He said, I like how you told her to be sending 200 emails a week. I've been looking into that target goal. Yeah. And like, so 200 emails, you gotta always think in terms of try to increase that no matter what. So I'll tell people 200 to begin with, like 200 a week to begin with, but ultimately you want to do like 100 a day. That's where you really want to try to get to. That's really hard to get to, especially nowadays, but still you just got to understand the more you send out, the more likely you're going to get responses, and the more you'll be able to respond to them. And then the more likely you're just going to get booked in reality. It's just a matter of practice. When you keep sending out emails, you're doing cold emails, you're practicing how to have the conversations, how to sound in demand. You're practicing how to overcome frustration, how to overcome demotivation. You're practicing all that stuff. And so eventually you become numb to frustration, to demotivation. You get really good at cold emailing. You get really good at all that stuff just because you obviously practiced more. It's similar to anything. If you want to get good at basketball, the person who practices 1 hour a day, they're not going to be nearly as good as the person who practices 8 hours a day. It doesn't matter like where they start out as. The person who practices 8 hours a day, he will get better than the other person who practices 1 hour a day. So that's why I keep telling people, like, keep sending those emails, and that's all you do. And once again, you don't overthink. Everyone keeps overthinking. They're like, well, what about this and that and that? I keep saying, well, did it happen yet? Did it happen? Did anyone say that thing to you? Or is it just happening inside of your brain? So you have to remember that the more you overthink, the less you're going to actually get done. So you have to start asking questions in your mind, or just asking other people questions about things you're actually doing instead of things that you're thinking about you're going to do. So just keep that in mind. See, Jim Rohn used to say, I'll make up in numbers what I lack in skill. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. It's one of the things where I'm telling people, like, talent doesn't exist in anything. It doesn't matter. Like, any sports, any business, talent does not exist. If you see anyone who's good at anything, they practiced it. Even in dating. Yes, dating. Everyone who is good in dating practiced it. Whether they practice it deliberately like the pickup artists, or whether they practice it naturally like just a lot of women in general who just get a lot of guys approaching them. That's why women tend to just be better at reading people, because men they come up to them, they can just instantly read them. A guy's like, hey, how's it going? She's like, yeah, he just wants sex. Like they just instantly see it. And so it's because they have more practice with it. And so you just got to remember that the more you do outreach, and especially the more feedback you get, which is why I keep telling Speak Pro Academy members to post inside the group with the email conversations. The more feedback you get, the more you know what to change and the better you become. If you just keep practicing, if you keep doing, you may end up doing the wrong thing. And then all of a sudden you'll be confused as to why it's not working. And that's why it blows my mind. In fact, I will probably come out with a whole separate Facebook Live on this, because it blows my mind when people say, like especially Speak Pro Academy members, when they've been in the program and they haven't posted in the group at all, and then all of a sudden one day they're just like, hey, this stuff doesn't work. Like maybe I get an email from them or whatever. Hey, I've been cold emailing, but it's not working. And I got to Google it. I got to go into the system and look them up to see if they even pay for the program, because I don't recognize who they are. And then I say, why haven't you been posting in the group? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you. You haven't been using me to help you. Of course you're going to be doing it wrong. You just paid for a program. You didn't ask for help. Of course you're going to be doing it wrong, because you're not getting feedback. You have to make sure you're getting feedback. You have to make sure there's someone there like me who will straight up tell you your website sucks. Your emails suck. You are procrastinating like a mother. Like you need someone there to tell you, like to not freaking have kid gloves with your ass, because a lot of people, they got kid gloves and they're giving you kid gloves like, yeah, good job. At least you sent one email out today. Absolutely not. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. And so you need someone there who will absolutely just say, look, man, you are procrastinating. I've been telling you to do this thing for a year and you haven't gotten it done. Either you want this or you don't. Either you want it or get out and just stop wasting my time. You're wasting my time by talking to me on the phone, by being in this group, by making me look bad because you're not doing the work. You need someone to tell you that. You need someone who will actually help you and actually tell you that, hey, you need to step your damn game up. And so you truly need that. You just truly need someone to do that. He said, that's why PUAs are called naturals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. The PUAs, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is no natural. Like anyone who's a natural, they had a lot of practice. Let's see. Wani said, can you please do a live on pitching seminars and workshops? I heard you say the approach is different. Well, yeah. So no, you're not like pitching. Yeah, maybe I'll do a whole thing, but you're not really pitching a seminar or workshop. What you're really doing is the entire marketing is different. So you're not doing outreach at that point. You're doing inbound at that point. So if you are putting on your own seminars and workshops, it's more along the lines of you're building an email list and then you're spending a lot of money on advertising. That's really what you're doing there. You're not really doing that. PUA, that's pickup artists. That's guys learning to pick up women. And actually, I'm telling you guys, if you don't know anything about PUA, study it. I've never seen something more impressive in terms of how they study picking up women. It is absolutely amazing. They've got the verbiage down and everything. It is absolutely amazing in terms of some of the stuff that they've studied. I mean, it's just flat out amazing in terms of some of the stuff they're doing with the PUA. They basically, anyone who's good at anything, they study the details of it. That's why they're so good. I was watching a Netflix thing on Ted Williams. So Ted Williams, I had no idea who the guy was, but apparently he's as good as like Babe Ruth and stuff. He's like on the same level as Babe Ruth. I think it's Ted Williams. Yeah, Ted Williams. Yeah, but basically he was like one of the best hitters of all time in baseball. And he obsessed over how to become one of the best hitters in baseball. Anyone who were to look at him, who would just look at him batting or whatever, they would say, wow, that guy's a natural. Oh my goodness, he's great. That dude obsessed over how to become great. He literally, what do they say he would do? He would take the water out of the bat, like he would dehydrate his bats to make them lighter, because he understood that while all these other guys, they were using heavy bats because they figured, hey, a heavy bat, you hit the ball, I mean, that thing's going to go freaking flying. But he studied it. He said, no, it's not about how heavy the bat is. You want your bat to be light because it's about the speed. So when the ball comes in, you want to swing as fast as possible because the speed is going to hit it, and that's what allows a ball to just freaking fly out. So he actually changed his bat up to where he like dehydrated his freaking bat. And that, like, little things like that. That is why people are where they are, because of the level of detail that they thought about to get them there. And so that's why I'm impressed with like the PUAs and all that, because the level of details that they go into and everything. So it's one of the reasons why I tell people join the Speak Pro Academy, because you don't understand what you're doing wrong until you see the level of detail about what it is you're not even doing or thinking about. And remember, guys, by the way, so until the end of this month, Speak Pro Academy, instead of it being $5,000, it's $2,000. So if you guys go to speakproacademy.com, you'll be able to sign up. You can get the lifetime option for $2,000 instead of $5,000. It's only going to be to the end of this month. So I guess we are going to go for today. And by the way, if you guys want to make sure you know when I'm doing these Facebook Lives, go to speakinglifestyle.com, sign up to the email list, and then you'll get an email about when I do the Facebook Lives. They're always at 9 a.m. though. So we are good to go for today. Don't see any more questions. All right, cool. So I will see you guys 9 a.m. Pacific time. Make sure you're on speakinglifestyle.com on the newsletter, because that's where I'm going to send you guys the dates, times of when I'm doing all these Facebook Lives. So I will see you guys later. Adios.